Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited. As you can see the title of the video, we are discussing the Magician card today in the Learn Tarot series. So this is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest you go back and do that. We covered bits and pieces of the major and minor arcana and the full card in depth, which is really important to learn and in the specific order. Because the full card is 0, the Magician card is 1. So learning in that order will help you memorize and be able to intuitively know how to read the cards later on in your journey, whether you're looking to read for yourself or just looking to understand what your tarot reader says when you get readings done, or if you're looking to read for others. So I highly suggest going back to video 1 if you haven't watched it. I'll link that down below. If you have watched it, let's get into it. So if you see me looking down, I have a bunch of notes because I don't want to leave anything out. And there's so many different meanings and things when it comes to tarot cards. So I wrote it all out for each card. So I make sure I cover all the bases of it, okay? So we are going to get into the Magician card. Like I said, the full card was number 0. Now the Magician card is number 1. So we'll start with the numerology of the card, okay? So when it comes to numerology, 1 represents fresh new beginnings. It represents a fresh start, okay? And that is so significant with the Magician card. And you'll notice as we go through, the numbers do correspond to what the meaning of the card is, right? So that's another thing to remember as well when you're reading tarot, okay? So the 1 just represents the starting point. It represents divine consciousness. It just represents realizing that you can create beginnings, okay? So that's what the number 1 represents. And as you continue to go on, you'll see how that 1 grows and develops, okay? So now the overall meaning of the Magician card is, to me, is the ultimate card of manifestation. When I see the Magician card, it is you can create anything. You are the powerful manifester. You have so much divine power within you. And now you're looking at all of these tools around you. You're learning how to work with them to create here in this reality. The cup, the swords, the pentacles, and the wands, right? So those 4 suits, which we mentioned in the minor arcana in the first video, that's why it's very important that you watch the first video first. So the cups represent water. The swords represent air. The pentacles represent earth. And the wands represent fire. So those are the 4 elements. I know it's giving Avatar vibes, which you can even think about that when it comes to the Magician. You could think about it as Aang, the Avatar, how he could use all of the elements. He was the one that could create anything. He had all this power within inside of him, right? Once he connected to spirit, when he went into his meditation, he connected to spirit and he was able to get all this information and bring it down here to earth and use it to help heal and create beautiful things. So that's exactly what you can think about with the Magician. The Magician is someone who can realize that they can use all of these tools. They're so resourceful and they're so connected to God and the divine, and they can create beautiful things here in this lifetime, okay? So it represents ultimate manifestation to me when I see this card, right? It also represents being resourceful, and it represents willpower and desire, because just because everybody has these tools doesn't mean they're going to use it. But the Magician is that starting point when you are stepping into trying to use things and figure it out and putting different concoctions together and seeing what works for your life, what aspects work and what don't, and trying over again and not being afraid. It also represents not being afraid to step into your power, because I feel like when the Fool was walking, do you remember he had that sack on his back and it was really light? Who knows what was in there, but it could have been these 4 elements: the cups, the wands, the sword, and the pentacle that he was carrying. I feel like the Magician represents when he opens it and is what can I create with this, right? So it represents just infinite potential to me, okay? Now we're going to get into the imagery on the card, right? So as you see, the Magician is holding a wand in its hand up to the sky and pointing down with his other fingers to the ground. That wand represents channeling the energy from the divine creator, from God, from the heavens, from ultimate source, and using that power to come down and to create here on earth. As above, so below. So, and also when you understand tarot more, you'll hear a lot of sayings that spiritualists say will start to make a lot more sense. Like, we don't just be talking just to talk, y'all, I promise, okay? So that wand represents channeling the energy and information from the heavens and bringing it down here to earth to create. We are ultimate creators. Like, the magician is the card of being a creator. That's what we're here to do. That's why everybody either wants to create content or create music or dance, draw, something. Like, we all have this like innate ability in us that wants to create, okay? So yes, and then the infinity sign above the magician's head represents infinite possibilities to create. So not only can you just create one thing, you can create anything you put your mind to. Anything that you desire, you can create, okay? And then we have that he's dressed in a white robe, right? So it's the white robe with the red cloak over it. So the white robe represents the purity of his intentions to create. White represents innocence and pure, okay? So the fact that he's dressed in white, but then it's covered in red, so it represents that in pure intent is driven by willpower and passion. So the red cloak represents the passion and willpower. So when you have pure intentions and you back that by like just pure desire and passion, like, you are bound to create something so magical and beautiful. And because you're being pure about it, it's going to be good for you and for all. Does that make sense? It's not like you're looking to create anything evil or dark or anything like that we'll get into more of that type of stuff when we get into the reverse meaning. But it's just something that is just like you're creating something so pure. So it's because you're connected to God. Remember, you have the wand to the sky. So you're connected to source, to the most high, okay? And then we also have the lilies and the flowers. Things are growing, things are coming to life. And the lilies also represent pure intent. And then the roses, the red roses represent passion and love. So you're creating from a space of love. And you remember the fool had the one rose. And now we have the magician with all these multiple flowers. It's like you're realizing your ability to multiply and to create abundance in your life. You've like finally conquered how to tap into your full potential. You've like really realized that you have the power to create your own reality. Okay, so, and then we also have, I may be pronouncing this wrong, Orbor, something like that. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's the belt around his waist. It's the snake eating its tail, which is a symbol of reinvention and being resourceful, okay? Like I said, the imagery, like almost everything on a card is for a reason, right? So that the snake eating its tail is a symbol of reinvention and being resourceful, okay? It's a rebirth, okay? And you can rebirth yourself as many times as you want. You've tried some career and you didn't like it. Now, okay, I'm gonna try another one and let me go back into my magician bag and cook up another concoction, see if I like this, try it out. Nope, I don't like it. Okay, back to the magician phase, try something else out. So that's all it is. It's that cycle of life, okay? And then just some little other key factors that tie into the magician card. If you're asking a yes or no question, it usually represents a yes. It's usually connected to air signs. It's usually connected for planetary wise. It's usually connected to Mercury. Chakra wise, it's usually connected to throat chakra, okay? And it's also connected to Virgo, okay? So that's just some of the specifics, facts, they like to call it. I don't know how you want to list that, but those are just kind of some of the things that are tied to it as far as chakras, elements, and zodiac signs. Okay, and so when a magician shows up in a reading, how can it show up in a reading, right? So if you are getting a career inquiry, right, and the magician card comes up, that is such a sign of like, you have the potential to create this opportunity to be whatever you want it to be. Or it could signify maybe you need to put yourself in a position where you have the ability to create, or like in an entrepreneur position, or if you deserve like a manager position. It also can show up in career if you feel like you're at a place where you're stagnant, and it could show up and it's like, pay attention to the resources around you. What can you use use around you to change your reality. Okay, the Magician is such a powerful card. It's giving clean slate, like what new beginning do you want to begin? Okay, now if it shows up in love, it can, in a love reading. With love, it means you can be creating opportunities for love. So that may mean you need to work on the elements, like work on your emotions and your passion, and put yourself in positions to where you are going to be seen, so you have spaces to create opportunities for love. Or if someone is already currently in a relationship, it can be looking at the relationship, being proactive and addressing the things that are in the relationship that are like blocking it from flourishing, so you guys can address those matters and then create beautiful new love from that situation. Okay, yeah, when you get the Magician card, it's just such a strong meaning to step into your fullest potential and use the resources you have to create magic, to create beautifulness, to create love, abundance, prosperity, everything you want in your life. Okay, now we're going to talk about the reversal of the Magician card. And so that's when it comes out like this. And when it comes out in reverse, it's the opposite. Okay, so it's when you think of like darkness, when you think of someone being deception or trying to trick you or being manipulative, and not in a good way, like not manipulating things in a positive way, manipulating things in such a negative way. It can represent wasting your talent. It can represent someone who has all of these things, all of these resources, all of these potential, and is just not going for it. It's just choosing not to live up to their fullest potential. It could represent poor planning or just not the right time to do these endeavors or to pursue something new. It could represent having self-doubt or not believing that you are the Magician, okay? So you just really have to take into consideration the questions that you're asking, or the question that your client is asking, or the topic of discussion when doing the reading, okay? And that'll help you determine where that card kind of fits. So for example, if you are asking about, should I stay in this relationship, and the Magician comes out in reverse, it can represent that there may be some illusions in the relationship, and you may need to take a moment, take a step back, and to really view the relationship before you keep trying to create with it. Look at the relationship for what it is, not what you want it to be, so you can actually understand what you guys are trying to create. I hope that makes sense, okay? Let me give you an example. Like if it comes up in career and it's in reverse, and you could be asking, should I take this new position? And the Magician comes out in reverse. That could mean the workplace that you're in isn't in alignment. It isn't resourceful for you. It could be blocking your magic. It could be stifling your creativity. It could be that it's not the right time to take that position because you're not properly prepared. So you may need to do some preparation for it, okay? So I hope that really helps, guys. I'm really excited to do this series with you all. Next, we're going to be going on to the High Priestess. That's the number 2 in tarot, and I will meet you there. Bye.